Carabinieres, an agent of the secret services of another country, we have the story of Gioacchino Mattiolo at heart. I have collaborated with us and with other countries for the capture of drug traffickers and dangerous fugitives of the caliber of Messina Money, Gioacchino Mattiolo. I received an email where they are written all the people who received it from the chief prosecutor of the Rome and his lawyer. We asked the Italian state why Mattiolo was isolated after the work carried out with capillary action. The investigations conducted by others on the entrepreneur suddenly stopped due to the Masonic institutional connections of certain people, in addition to the involvement of exponents of the law enforcement agencies. Mattiolo was proving that in his city the mafia had changed despite him having evidence of the most brutal massacres in his hands. Mattiolo and his team were on the trail of subjects still operating ex gladio and otherwise. The amount of evidence they produced is immense. The Sicilian entrepreneur's fear is strong to the point of extorting Mattiolo, where he sees subjects as participants of the police and of a certain Miano who passes himself off as a former agent but is the firefly of a former policeman who does dirty work for the state. Mattiolo was ordered to keep a low profile, pointing out that anyone who reported extremely serious facts would be tortured by applying the same modus operandi as the massacre mafia. Everyone underestimated Mattiolo, trained by the best bosses. Already in 2015, as evidence shows, he knew where Messina's money was. He could arrest him, but his job was to make clear how this subject was protected. He gives a large hand to the guided falsehoods of the repentant, but no to that of an apparently such citizen who is actually undercover. I add that the state itself does not know that it has shadow men who work for the security of the country, spending an impossible life. The evidence given to the Digos police caused fear when they heard where the money was in Messina in 2018 and that a car with writings from a non-state institution was going to pick it up. The evidence they did not take at the Carabinieri station auditor, Opera Palermo Nucleus and Termini Imiris that together with they continued to falsify documents on the madman, who suffered a handcuffed beating. If he had had his hands free it would have been an implosion. These people took orders, staining their careers, even falsifying them despite the mechanic's testimony that he had the car Mattiolo tampered with to get himself out. Such an event is unthinkable for 3 Carabinieri without intelligence. It is also anomalous that the Carabinieri of Termini, despite the presence of 118, do not let the madman go to the hospital, and when the madman goes about his business the Carabinieri will tell the doctor not to report him. Only one hospital of the 4 will give the necessary treatment, as when the madman will be admitted to intensive care for COVID and the police showed up at the hospital to pick him up, inventing a series of facts. The doctor replied that he couldn't invent COVID because it was in progress, and given their insistence that he smelled he would have called the police. Magically they disappeared and the doctor warned Mattiolo and had him move. Who broke the news to the listening station about the Mattiolo suffering from COVID? They could only know the numbers of COVID patients and not names and surnames. How many people want him dead? Their behavior can be traced back to their illicit activities. One fact is certain, that your fear is so great that you have created one of the second and biggest misdirections after that of the big falcon and purse. A judge exchanging opinions in a trial with the entrepreneur, a false request to make the madman pay, an appeal bland despite the evidence some are not given to ensure that the Mattiolo suffers. What will it lead you to that a court of justice that handled the vase and hid it became complicit in a conspiracy But we who have been working for a long time on you and on you Giacomo Adriano will let out all your pranks and entanglements with corrupt Freemasonry, with crime, with abuse of women and children, because we know everything that interested us. Word of Aries, you have touched on this what should not be touched and did the most absurd things. We are watching you and you can change phone cards and places. You will not escape our wiretaps. I will be the biggest scandal in the world after Serpico, after Snowden. And I close with this discussion that you were all the crazy ones because not only had Mattiolo handed over the evidence that was made to disappear, but he was so careful that he published it all on the internet where it is all our possession, because we hacked Mattiolo's social media to get all the information before someone delete his profiles. Then we'll see who these policemen and carabinieri are who enjoyed telling strangers that Mattiolo was a madman who has proof and who scares everyone as well as the carney who.
The family members are unaware of what is happening thanks to everything you have done, because it is a conspiracy that lasted 13 years, but today with all the secret services in the world we are ready.